Hey, I'm Brian Van, SportbikeTrackGear.com, and today I'm going to do a follow-up video to the helmet series that I did early in 2019. We talked about safety certifications. We talked about proper helmet fit. We talked about the difference between inexpensive and high-end helmets. We also talked about when to replace your helmet. I purchased a helmet off of Amazon, a cheap, no-name, never heard of the brand helmet from Amazon that I used as a prop in that video series to try and display the difference between low quality, low cost, no-name helmets and quality helmets from known brands that have historical presence and success in our industry. In this video, now we're going to focus on some information that I found in an issue of the Wall Street Journal. It was the Saturday-Sunday edition, August 24th and 25th. You can find this all in section B1. The title of the article is Amazon has ceded control of its site. Before I take a deep dive, I want to just hit you with two quick disclaimers. Nowhere in this article does the Wall Street Journal reference Wow motorcycle helmets, okay? They reference a different brand, and it's some pretty important information. So I am not saying that Wow is the same as the other one. What I will say about this helmet is it's a flaming pile of shit. It wasn't even worth the price of the shipping label spent to get it to me. Also like to say Amazon does a fantastic job. That is evident based on the fact they're responsible for about 50% of all e-commerce here in the United States of America. That's a big number, and you'd never get there if you didn't do a good job. It's important to understand how that platform works. A lot of the products on there, they come straight from Amazon. They actually have purchased them, they sell them to you, so it's a direct transaction. There are other transactions that involve third-party sellers. An example of the third-party sellers is going to be the information surrounding the helmets that we're going to talk about contained in this article. Essentially what happens is, in this case, an individual purchases a bunch of motorcycle helmets from China. I'm not beating up on China either. I love everybody. I've said that stuff before. They make a lot of great stuff in China. But these cheap piece of shit helmets are not on that list of great stuff produced over there. So you have a third-party seller, sources these things, maybe buys a container load or whatever on the cheap, lists them, making a reasonable or a great profit. It's hard to say because you can probably get this thing and you buy a whole container full of something this shitty, you're probably going to be able to get these for, I don't even know, man, $20 a piece, something like that, because nothing goes into it. There's no real R&D. You know, you don't even know if the DOT label on the back of this helmet is legitimate, because remember, that whole certification process, well, that's the honor system. You never actually have to first submit the helmet to be tested like you do with Snell or ECE to make sure that it passes. You can just, we built it to proper specification and slap the sticker on. And what that does, that gives the consumer false confidence that they're buying a product that is capable of doing its intended job. Before I dive into the helmet part, I also want to point something else I found that was relevant in this same section of the paper. Taylor Swift says yes to streaming, all right? That's worth a deep dive right there, isn't it? Jumping to the helmet. A lot of the information included in here centers around an individual that purchased some no-name helmet off Amazon from a third-party seller. They unfortunately had an accident, the helmet failed, and the rider passed away. And that's something nobody wants to go through that. I'm going to reiterate how important it is when purchasing any motorcycle-related parts that can be attributed to safety. Stick with trusted brands that have a historical presence in the marketplace, that have proven to submit their helmets for testing, have a proven track record of actually working in the field. Scorpion produces helmets as low as like $100, right? That are designed, research and development, quality products to do their job. We have several brands in between, right? Then you go to Arai, the end of the yellow brick road. You can count on these guys to be doing things that are in the best interest of the rider that's going to trust their safety to this product. Moving a little further forward, the retailer you choose to work with. Here at STG, we put a lot of effort into trying to help you all choose the best product for your application. It shouldn't always be just about price. Yeah, I got this thing for $64 and it came with a sweet iridium shield. No, it needs to fit right, and it needs to have the features and benefits that are important to you, and that's why we spend all this time reviewing these helmets. And when I go to ride, I'm taking a carrier that's full of 6 helmets to test them, to try and see how I feel about it so I can communicate that to you and help you make an informed decision, right? Fit is huge, right? With a technical product like this, it has to fit correctly. And when you work with a retailer like STG or other retailers within our industry, we're going to help you get a helmet that fits properly. When you're just clicking and hitting the buy box on Amazon, right, you don't have the same level of technical support there, which is why it's much better practice to buy things like this from trusted retailers in the industry in question. This article, right, and we'll show you right here, out of compliance, little picture of a helmet right there. Hopefully I turned that enough. The journal found listings on Amazon.com that have been declared unsafe by government agencies, are deceptively labeled, or are banned by federal regulators. A lot of the information, like I said, it focuses on this one individual, and I'm just going to read pieces and parts from this article. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said last month that the helmet wasn't DOT compliant and that it had been recalled. It was still listed as DOT compliant last month until the Journal inquired about it, after which Amazon took it down. Within 2 weeks of Amazon's removing or altering the first problematic listings, the Journal identified at least 130 items with the same policy violations reappear. And that's that whole third-party thing, where you're bringing these sellers in there. There's only so much control over that, and there's so much content over there on that site. It's hard to babysit all of it. And despite their best efforts at Amazon, they certainly don't want anybody to get hurt, injured, or have a bad experience with the products they purchase. The reality is they can't control all of it. For example, here at STG, you're going to notice we don't just sell every single thing possible out there in our industry. We try to focus our efforts on products we know perform. We have a good experience with it. If we have a good experience with it, odds are you will too. And that's really important to us. It's probably more important to me than it is to the people that own Amazon. Moving forward in this article, essentially what had happened is the helmet in question, referenced in this article, 103 of these were purchased by a small reseller that sold them on Amazon, and that's where this helmet had come from. Its source was a little larger company that had purchased bigger bulk and cut off a piece to this individual. So dive into the article now. His company bought products from China to resell on Amazon. Notice it didn't say his company developed, researched products, developed them to then retail on Amazon. No, he just bought stuff from China to resell on Amazon and turn a profit. And I get capitalism, man, I'm part of it too. But, once again, brands is where it's at. According to legal documents, it was so small he couldn't afford legal representation, he said in court. That's also a problem. When you're working with companies like this, they do all the R&D, the testing, all those things, but they also have things like product liability insurance. You can't even sell these products to a distributor here in the US if you don't have proper product liability insurance, because nobody wants to be on the hook for it. So when you're working with a proper brand, you can count on the fact that they have dotted their I's and crossed their T's. And that's not important until it is important. Moving forward in the article, on July 1st, 2019, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration said, I'm not going to say the brand name, had recalled the helmet. It said 4,071 were in the market or sold. How many of those do you think actually came back on that recall? We've all seen that, where you get a notice or something, you don't even really pay any attention to it. How many of those helmets that were recalled do you think were actually taken out of service, replaced, and or refunded? I bet you it is 10% or less, right? Most people are probably oblivious to the fact, never even saw the notice. They're still out there riding around in that substandard piece of shit. An agency test in April of 2018 had found the helmet cracked open on contact. if they had done the testing on their own, guess what they would have found? The fucking helmet cracks open on contact. And then instead of selling it to people, they could have went back to the drawing board and redesigned the helmet. But once again, these were imported by a company that didn't develop it and didn't do any research and development. And that's the kind of shit you get when you do that, when you're not actually invested in the product that you're selling. Getting all fired up here now. On July 29th, the helmet model and 8 other helmets that failed federal safety tests in 2018 were still listed for sale on Amazon. Amazon removed them after the Journal pointed them out. A week later, the Journal found a listing for the helmet model that this individual wore when he was injured was listed on Amazon by a different vendor, labeled as out of stock. There were also listings for 4 other helmets Amazon had taken down after the Journal notified it that the products had failed federal safety tests. I really believe that's a function of scale. That platform is just so big and it takes a lot of effort to police it. It's like all that shit you see on Facebook, right? Oh, you'd say it should be so easy for them to take care of it. Think about the amount of Facebook users, just like the amount of resellers on Amazon. This isn't a beat up on Amazon session. I want to say that again because, man, I don't want that guy mad at me. That's for sure. What this is me sharing with you what I know. I broke this story before the Wall Street Journal did, right? If you're a rider shopping for parts for your bike, if you're shopping for personal safety equipment, I really urge you to use, first off, a retailer, hopefully like STG. I think we do a great job here. We're personally invested in this. A lot of us here ride, right? You see myself and my son Max out at the racetrack. We are using the stuff that we sell. I use a lot of these helmets myself, right? To make sure that I'm happy with the way they perform. I don't crash in every single one of them, thank God, right? But if I have it on my head, I'm comfortable with the level of protection that it offers. And I think that's really important because I want you to be as protected as possible. And also support the brands that support and participate in developing proper quality products. I can tell you right now that the people that work for Arai, they are deeply invested in something they believe is the best product in the world. Tremendous amount of pride there. And they're not the only ones in this industry that are proud of the products they're producing, that they're developing. I can assure you that all the brands that I've worked with over the years closely feel the same way. And that is how we all move forward. We all have access to high quality products that make our experience on the bike better, which is really what it's all about. And then if it all goes wrong, we have a good level of protection to help minimize the possibility for injury. Everything I shared here with you, you can research and reference this article on your own. The rest of it, to be real, is just my opinion, one that I've gained over many, many years in this industry, handling, wearing, testing more products than most people could imagine.